Welcome to the Road to Roseboro. We discuss college football. Who do I have sitting to my left?
Yeah, Brian.
And, great. Who do I have sitting in front of me?
Jacob.
Alrighty. We have a lot to discuss today. We had a pretty, even though it was a kind of a bad week for college football, we still had some upsets and some interesting games out there. But before we start on them subjects, I wanted to discuss, again, the logo. The logo was painted by a friend of mine, Michael Elswick. If you didn't catch the last two episodes, we've had a new logo. And his email will be in the description. So if you want any artwork done or any paintings maybe for the family or something, he's the guy to go to. He's great. But also figured we'd talk about our sponsor again. Our sponsor this week is Air and Trees. Jake, what do you have to say about our sponsor, Air and Trees?
Trees, can't get enough of them.
Yeah. They're pretty great.
Yeah, they're great for anything. If you want to burn them, they don't care. You can burn them down and everything.
Yeah.
No big deal.
They're like Honey Badger. They don't care.
They just don't care.
Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
I think this joke has run its course.
No, it must continue.
It really mustn't.
The joke must exist.
I can make another joke.
Don't.
No, please.
Don't make a joke.
I can make plenty of jokes.
But on to the recap.
Okay.
So we have 4 games here to discuss. And I figured we'd start with USC and BYU. Brian, what do you think about USC and BYU?
I was surprised. I figured actually that USC would actually win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And but props to BYU. I mean, it was a close game. It was a battle from start to finish, and it's just it is one of those games that it was one of the better games of the week, I think.
Yeah.
Just because of just how back and forth it was.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really all I got about it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that eventful, but it was an upset. What do you think about it, Jake? Did you get to catch it?
Yeah, I thought it was a battle all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was one of the best games of the week. Really good.
Whatever Brian says.
Really good game.
Yeah, great game.
I love the football.
Yeah, who won?
USC.
No.
I know, there's a 50-50 chance there.
Well, you tried.
I literally just made it clear that BYU won.
Yeah.
So I wasn't listening.
No, you weren't.
I just listened to those few words and I was like, repeat those.
Yeah. So BYU won the game.
Yep, good job, BYU.
Yep. The Mormons. They
Did
played
great.
really well.
It was a battle.
Yeah, we got another game. Jake, did you get to catch UCF versus Stanford?
A little bit, actually.
Who won?
I couldn't tell you that.
UCF.
UCF won.
Yeah, UCF won big. They actually
Didn't I have
looked really.
Stanford for that?
You did.
Yeah,
Your record again was pretty bad, as usual.
That's all right.
Yeah, you're a late bloomer.
That's right.
Brian, what do you think about UCF versus Stanford?
I really wasn't so shocked.
I wouldn't either.
Because it's this time of year. I'll rephrase this. Stanford just had an off week, and they have about 6 of those.
Yeah,
it's like Stanford is one of those teams where they have like the highest of highs and lowest of lows, and it's week in and week out.
Well, I've noticed this about Stanford. They've made our games of the week 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Whoever put that schedule together, stop it. You're going to get your players killed. Their schedule has been 4 weeks in a row they've played good opponents. And we can't say that about a lot of teams. So I respect them on that level. But UCF looked really good. They have a freshman quarterback right now who looks unreal. So I'd say watch out for them. UCF has become like the new power of the mid-majors. But the next game we want to talk about here is actually a game that me and Brian were both shocked by. Temple versus Maryland. What do you think about this one, Brian?
What is Maryland?
Maryland is this.
What is it?
Yeah. Maryland does this all the time. Maryland always, they'll beat somebody highly ranked. Like, they beat Texas last year. And then 2 weeks later, they lost to Temple. So, Maryland's a weird football team.
There was the same team that beat a ranked Syracuse 63-20.
Yeah, and we're averaging 65 points a game before Temple. And they only scored 17 against Temple. So, I don't know. I've learned that you cannot trust Maryland. They're a 6-6 football team, I think. I think they're going to go to a bowl game, but nothing more than that. What do you think about this game, Jake?
I chose really bad.
Mm-hmm. We didn't even pick this one last week.
I thought for sure I picked Maryland.
You did whenever we were talking privately,
Yeah.
but we didn't pick this on the.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
either way, I really, really wanted Maryland to win just for those awesome uniforms.
I hate their uniforms, but we talked about this last week. How you like their uniforms, but I think they're absolute dumpster fire.
Well,
but
the uniforms are fine. It's the helmets that I don't like.
I like the helmets. That's the best part.
I hate both.
It looks like they just took the helmet and like tossed into a trash, like a trash compactor,
and
then pulled it back out and then straightened the dings out of it.
Yeah, and put a flag on it. Yeah.
It's great.
But yeah, I'm not too surprised by this just because Maryland seems to do this every year. They're weird. But onward to the last game of the recap. This is a game me and Brian went to. Florida versus Kentucky. I feel like we got a couple things to say about this one. What do you think about this one, Brian?
I didn't go to that game. I didn't go to it.
Oh yeah, you don't want to acknowledge it, do you?
I didn't watch nothing.
Yeah, we're both,
I stayed home.
We're both pissed. We were at the game and like going into the at the end of the third quarter, it looked like Kentucky was going to win it.
Yes, it did.
And
They didn't.
You know what I think was the turning point in the game? When Felipe Franks got hurt.
Yep.
And I did notice the backup quarterback they had was a little bit more of a pocket passer, and it looked like it seemed to hurt Kentucky.
They just didn't have a game plan for that.
It's hard to study for backup quarterbacks, and for that situation,
but
that kid played well.
You think after like the first couple of drives, it'd be like, okay, we can't keep going into zone in the zone
you
coverage
keep saying
anymore.
That, but you do not want to give up a big play over the top. In my opinion, I blame everything on basically Kentucky's corners not getting into spots in time.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't just go press. My biggest issue really was the corner. Like there was one play that me and you both witnessed where the corner came up on a hitch route and should have had an INT, but it looked like he just didn't have enough effort to go get it.
Right.
Yeah, and you can't have that. You got to come up and make the most of them opportunities. What do you think about this game, Jake?
I spent my time watching an NAIA football game.
Yeah.
I didn't watch most of the UK game. I did get home.
He had to work
in time.
Saturday. For anybody that don't know on why he might not know about a lot of these scores or anything, to his defense, he actually had to work on Saturday.
Yeah. So I watched that football game, and but I got home in time enough to catch the last like 5 minutes of it.
Catch the downfall.
I watched the last 5 minutes of it, and as soon as I walked in, my dad looked at me and he says, "They're going to lose," and they were down by like a score and a half almost. I was like, "In 5 minutes?" He goes, "Yeah, the other guy he got injured. The other quarterback did, and they're coming back with a vengeance on it."
Yep.
I was like, well, we'll see. I wanted Kentucky to win, even though I had Florida for winning. But
I was sad.
That kicker. Why?
Oh my
question,
God! Yeah,
my question.
We didn't even talk about
my
that.
Question.
We witnessed that live. I don't want to hear it because we witnessed that live.
My question is, why did they not run the ball toward the center of the field so the little freshman kicker didn't have to chip it in?
I will say this. I think that kicker is used to kicking from that hash mark, so that's why they set the play over to that side. And it was close. He just hooked it wrong. I mean, because it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was wide right, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was just, it was like right there, like inches from.
It nearly hit the goalpost.
Yeah, because we thought it went in from our angle that we were sitting at. We thought it went in.
We were all cheering on our side until the ref did the motion to where it's no good. So, yeah, it looked like it was going in, but it didn't. That and just a lot of sloppy play we witnessed too, because you didn't get to see this part. But early on in the game, me and Brian noticed that there was a lot of penalties on Kentucky, and they were just self-inflicted. Like false starts and just silly things. And they had an early targeting call, which, going back and looking at it, I do agree it is targeting. Now, the second one, no.
Was that the Cash...
Cash... Oh, yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, I heard at the school today that there was some sort of big deal with him.
Yeah, he might be in trouble. And, Brown, we didn't get to see this
because he was trying to break someone's leg or something.
Yeah. So the backup quarterback on the 2-point conversion, whenever he tackled him, you can see in the replay on online, like he actually takes the quarterback's ankle and tries to twist it and break it, the backup quarterback.
Oh, God.
Yep. And it's clear as day. So I can see some repercussions coming from that.
So maybe being suspended or not being able to play?
I think he should be suspended for a game. I think that's just a silly mistake in the heat of the moment. It's football. These things do happen. I'm not one of them people that go, "Oh, play the game with integrity" and all that. Because look, it's a violent game and emotions.
It's a damn near blood sport.
Yeah, and like the emotions do get the best of you, but I do think there should be some repercussions for an action like that.
Yeah,
I think a 1-game suspension would be fair, but yeah, just a lot of silly mistakes by Kentucky. And I will say though, we did have like an awesome crowd around us though.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people behind us were from Seattle, and they were Florida fans, and they flew all the way from Seattle, Washington.
Why?
That's what I said.
Watch it from the comfort of your living room.
Exactly.
If you're that far away.
But it was a experience. A ton of fun.
Yeah, I love those like live shows like that, man. Mm-hmm. They're something to behold.
And it did feel like a party almost.
It did.
Yeah, like they started playing a party song, and I was thinking that this is the most accurate description of what this entire game has felt like. Because we had people like in the stands holding up their phones and having the flashlights on and everything. It was just a neat experience overall.
Yeah.
But disappointing end.
Yeah.
And
and which I have noticed over the and I mentioned this coming out of the stadium was that Kentucky has always had, and I think a lot of it has to do with coaching. Kentucky has always had a problem holding fourth quarter leads.
Yeah.
For like the last several years. Mm-hmm. It happened against Penn State in the Citrus Bowl. They barely won that game.
Yeah.
They gave up a big fourth quarter lead and had to win by 3. So, yeah, that's always been kind of a problem.
It has been. But
and I think a lot of that is coaching.
It is, but I would say that I do think Kentucky is a program overall. And it's not – the only reason we're from Kentucky, but – like objectively, I do think that them as a program is on the rise. Not
they're
not
fine.
National championship rise, but they'll
be fine.
They're like a Northwestern type to where like they're going to be competitive for years to come.
They'll average 8 or 9 wins a season, I think, over the next few years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll be good.
Very good program, but we actually have a pretty interesting subject to talk about here. You know how we talked about the California rule last week on how they're talking about paying players?
Yeah.
Well, New York is now joining in on this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And that means Syracuse and Army players could get paid for their likeness.
Very good.
So I'd like to get your opinion on that, Brian. What do you think that can mean for the landscape of like a big market for New York?
I said it. I said I'll say the same thing I said last week. What California was doing, I think, would start a trend, and I was going to hope that more states would follow through. Now, the 2 biggest markets have now signed up on it to start with.
If you're the NCAA, you cannot leave New York and LA out of the NCAA market.
You can't.
You're losing too much TV value there.
It can't. In fact, I would actually say that maybe by the month is out, maybe some
Colorado.
Texas,
I think Colorado is in on it too.
And maybe Texas now that California.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Texas might get on it.
If Texas jumps on this, then it's a done deal.
Yes.
Because you're not leaving Texas out of like.
Texas is football central.
Texas is where you get most of your high school talent for college football. So to leave them out would be completely idiotic. So I believe Texas is going to join suit here soon, and they're going to jump in on this. But Jake, what do you think about this whole deal? What do you? Let me rephrase that. What do you think about what this means for like the entirety of like the NCAA as a whole? Do you think that they'll cave?
Yeah,
100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you all just stated, and I hate to restate, but California and New York are huge markets. It's a lot of money going down the drain if they just leave them out.
Yeah.
I would say, you're probably right. Texas, if they go in, probably going to be a done deal, but I still don't know if it's going to reach the smaller schools at this point.
I think it will eventually. Well, it'll have to because the law, like, if it's in Texas, for instance, then North Texas will be able to make money off their likeness. Texas State will be able to make money off their likeness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like an NCAA thing. It's like an entire state is passing a bill around this. It's like Army players will be able to make money off of it. In California, San Jose State, Fresno State. So I actually think this will benefit everybody in the NCAA.
It'll definitely benefit the players.
Yeah, I actually think it'll benefit the smaller schools too because like you can say this. All right, do I want to go to a big school like Kansas with less marketability, or do I want to go to a smaller school like Fresno State in California where I can have a chance at better marketability? And it would make the smaller schools more competitive with like the bigger schools because they'll be able to pull in bigger prospects. So
I actually didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That.
So I think it'll even everything out in college football.
Yeah.
I actually think this, for what it's worth, I think is actually a very good thing. And it'll hurt Alabama, I think. Because Alabama as a football team are more like they're in like the region. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it would really hurt Alabama just because it's already such a big name.
It already is a brand. You're right.
And if people or any college or high school prospect thinking in NFL,
Yeah.
if Alabama shows up at their doorstep, they're going to be thinking NFL.
True.
Hard.
And it is the football factory of America in
Yeah.
college. So,
Which that could possibly fix it, but as long as
I'd like to see how Notre Dame would respond to a rule like this, because they're a very Catholic school, very religious. I want to see how like they take to this new rule, whether they would apply it or not.
as long as they pay for their sins, they don't care.
Which, I mean, you can also say that about BYU, because aren't they a very religious
Yes,
school?
they are. They're a
So-
Mormon school, so I'd
yeah.
like to see how they
Mormon
respond.
isn't a religion.
Yep. What was it you called it last week? Christianity fan fiction or something like that? Or was that Scientology? It was
Pick one.
Yeah. They're both the same.
They're the same.
Yeah, but as for any Mormons that listen to this show, don't get offended. We're idiots around a ping pong table. So
Get offended.
there you go.
Send me hate mail.
Yeah, all 5 fans we got. Yeah, but
You're being really, really optimistic with that number.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'd like to see how the more religious schools kind of approach this. It could be like a complex subject, but onward to the next thing, and this one's a little bit more of a silly subject. UAB, the university, they're talking about getting a mascot. Like their mascot, their school mascot is the Blazers. It's like a dragon. So they're wanting to get a Komodo dragon to bring to games. No, actually, you know what, Jake? What do you think about this?
It's a great idea.
This is amazing.
That's a great idea. And it's a great idea because it's such a terrible idea.
This is the stupidest idea.
I want it so bad, though. Do it.
Can I think of this? What if that thing gets loose in the stands?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
like a lion. You can,
Where are you going to keep it?
Okay, LSU has like a tiger for their games, and
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
Yeah, but like you can keep that. Like you can kind of tame that in a situation.
A Komodo dragon is a
They're
monster.
fast. Yeah, they're fast. Like, what do you want to do in that situation?
Well, it's not
and
just that
they're
they're fast.
lower to the ground. Like that's
But-
gonna be very hard to take down.
A tiger isn't venomous.
Yeah,
A Komodo dragon, if you get bit by one of them sons of bitches, you're done.
yeah. This is the greatest idea I've ever heard. Imagine what Peter will have to say about this.
Oh, Peter, who cares what they have to say?
No, but it is funny. Last year they freaked out about Georgia having like a live mascot, a bulldog.
Yeah.
That bulldog makes more money than you do.
Yeah,
Peter.
shut up, Peter.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I don't care if we
It
offend
has
Peter.
a
I
better
hate
life.
them.
I
than
would
you
switch places with that bulldog.
Yeah, Peter killed dogs, so what? Like, screw them.
But it was for their health.
Oh yeah. It's for the better of the dogs. If they just go and die.
The great are good.
The greater good. But yeah, I thought that was a funny thing. UAB University, they actually shut their football program down about 2 years ago or 3 years ago and brought it back recently, and they're pretty good actually.
That's
for
good.
a smaller school.
I do want to see that Komodo dragon.
I do too.
though.
I hope they do.
I mean, in all seriousness, it could be a great idea. But
Yeah.
just on the surface, it looks so silly that it just might work.
No, it's just a bad idea. But
No,
it's the best bad idea ever demised.
please do it.
Do you
Yeah.
think that, like, if a disaster does happen, do you think it'll change the scope of having like live animals as mascots?
Well, they'll have to, yeah.
yeah.
Like,
that's
say
like,
if Bevo got out, like Texas's mascot, and started killing a bunch of people in the stands, then yeah,
yeah.
I would say that they would make some changes.
Yeah, that can happen with any. Like if that tiger at LSU gets out, and needs a couple of kids in the stands, and yeah, it's gonna get bad.
This is why you have trained snipers at the ready.
Yeah. You know, that's never happened in college football, but I feel like that's one of them things to where, like, it will eventually happen
But
one
if
time.
the sad thing is, it hasn't happened in like in the past 100 years. But if it happens once this
a
year, it's
disaster.
done.
It has to be. Like, you...
You have 100 years of
Like,
it never
you
happened.
let's celebrate Bevo, the child murdering specialist.
Yeah, exactly. You're on my side. I see.
No, this is a bad idea.
Because if here's the thing, it doesn't matter what happened the last 100 years. If a few people die in your stands, that's no. You can't have that. Have you ever heard? It's a complete PR nightmare.
Have you ever heard the term isolated incident?
Okay, isolated incident, yes, but a very bad isolated incident.
Isolated incident,
Do you
nonetheless.
if you're running a business, do you want people to die in your place of business?
If it hasn't happened in the past 100 years, I wouldn't expect it to happen in the next 100.
No, I'm not saying. Okay, I'm not saying.
Actually, that was a very stupid thing I just said, but okay.
Everything
the dumbest thing I've ever said.
It is.
Okay, no.
It is.
I think the potato famine is pretty up there.
What?
That or who would win
The
the
potato
a match.
famine is a real drought on our society, and we need to fix it or face economic collapse.
Yep. Because that's what this show's about. We're
Our
trying to change the
Our
world.
culture is at risk because
Yep.
of the potato famine of Idaho.
We should just rename this show PC Culture at the Rose Bowl.
Where's Idaho Spud's going to go?
Yeah. What?
It's a box potato brand. It's not even real potatoes.
Yeah, who cares? shut up.
You're the one that brought it up!
But onward to something that we actually discussed in our first episode. We talked about our bold predictions on the year. I'm going to go ahead and give a spoiler alert. Mine's down the shitter. Mine's a disaster. Mine's bad.
Mine's perfect.
No, yours is bad too. But I think mine is coming out to be the worst right now.
Good.
I said Nebraska would go 10-2, and they would play in the Big Ten championship game and lose to Michigan. I can't see that happening now. Nebraska they look like a 8-4, 7-5 football team. They just look average, which is disappointing. But Brian's bold prediction of the year, I'd like for him to talk about it a little bit because we discussed this privately just a minute ago that he still thinks this can pan out. I can't see it, but he still can. So would you like to give the listeners your reasoning?
Well, just the fact that I didn't know Oklahoma's schedule when I made that prediction.
Yeah.
Was the thing, and I didn't realize it was this much of a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And I can look like a complete and total fool doing this.
Mine's the worst. I'll admit that. Well, no, Jake's is
Yeah,
probably
Jake is the worst.
But
But
yours probably the most reasonable out of all of them.
Just on the fact that because it's not like I'm rooting against Oklahoma or Lincoln Riley or anything. I'm not rooting against them or anything. I just wasn't completely sold on Jalen Hurts fitting into Lincoln Riley's system. But Lincoln Riley has apparently, stories have come out that he actually changed a lot of the system that he was doing to fit more with Jalen Hurts, and that's really helped.
Well, if you see, they're actually doing a lot more read option now
Yes.
and stuff like that.
And I'm actually happy that they're proving me wrong right now. But again,
Hurts is a player that you can't root against.
no, you can't. And I'm not.
He's
I'm not rooting against him.
Yeah.
I just didn't think how well he could
Translate,
play. How well he could translate. And he has to. I'm going to wait until I see them play against Texas before I come out.
That is the big one.
Yeah, I'm going to wait until after their
Yes.
Texas matchup.
They do play. They're probably going to play Texas twice because of the way the Big 12's set up.
Okay.
They don't do divisions. So, like, the two best teams in the Big 12 will go to the Big 12 championship instead of, like, the winner of each division.
All right.
So, they could play each other twice, but I will agree with you there. Texas is going to be a huge gauge point for Oklahoma season. Jake, how do you feel about your Kentucky going to the Sugar Bowl prediction so far? Seeing the SEC has, let's see here. So, anybody that don't know, the Sugar Bowl takes the second best team out of the SEC because the best team usually goes to the playoffs, so the Sugar Bowl would get the second best team. Okay, so here's the problem in this logic, at least for me, is he's saying Florida's going to win the SEC, Kentucky's going to finish second. That means Alabama would probably finish third, Georgia would finish fourth, and LSU would finish fifth in the SEC. And then Auburn would probably finish sixth, and Texas A&M finish seventh. Listeners,
all those teams are, except for Kentucky, all those other teams
yeah,
are
all
ranked.
the other teams are ranked.
So yeah.
Jake, would you like to explain yourself? Don't stop believing.
Hold on to that feeling. Yeah, sure, I'll explain myself.
Yeah, please do.
Kentucky, their mascot, it's Wildcat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a
And
Yep.
Would you like to expand on that?
And Wildcats are badass.
They are. Yeah. So are tigers.
Tigers, nah, not so much.
Yeah, tigers are pretty cool.
Nah, too many
alligators.
stripes.
Yeah.
Alligators, those are awesome, actually. But
So-
that's why I have them winning.
He does have the Gators winning. So
See-
Alabama's mascot's Crimson Tide, and their mascot.
Wait, what's a Crimson Tide?
Well, their actual mascot.
Is it like
their
water?
official? Yeah, but their official mascot, like, technically is an elephant.
You see, well, elephants aren't so cool.
But you can't name your school Alabama Elephants. That just sounds stupid.
That would sound very stupid.
Crimson Tide sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, but it sounds like vampire stuff, not elephant stuff. Why? Crimson Tide and elephants just don't go together.
Yeah.
Onward to the next one. What's the next mascot? You got the Tigers, Too Many Stripes.
Well, Auburn, actually, this one's a good
Is that a
one.
horse?
Auburn is the Tigers, but their saying is War Eagle. So
Yeah, that's why they're not winning.
yeah, they're idiots.
Yep. What's the next one?
Texas A&M's the Aggies. It's like a dog.
Yeah, Wildcat to kill a dog.
So that's why that's your logic is basically the mascot war, like Mike Leach did this week. Is you think Kentucky's mascots could take down all these other mascots? So that's why your bold prediction is the way it is, right?
Well, in all likelihood, the Alabama one would probably end up stomping on the Wildcat and killing it.
Yeah. But not this time.
But the Wildcat could possibly kill an alligator as long as it's not in water.
Well, it didn't kill the alligator. It lost to the alligator this week.
They're late bloomers.
It can't play it again.
Those late bloomers. Don't worry about it.
So that's your logic.
Yeah.
That's why you.
That's about as good as I'm
This
getting right
conversation,
now.
this conversation is completely asinine.
Again, it's like Lee Corso. He goes off on these tangents about grass and water and how this team hasn't played in grass and water for the last 75 years. So that's why they'll win.
Lee Corso's a gift to us.
Yeah, he is. He's
anybody badmouths Lee Corso and I will tackle them.
I remember there was a lot of people freaking out. They're saying Lee Corso shouldn't be on College Game Day anymore because it seems like he's lost it. Like his football knowledge is gone. I'm like, he is college football.
Yeah.
Like, no, he stays on as long as he wants to. I don't care what these people say. Like, I don't go there for his football knowledge.
Let him say the F word all he wants. He can say whatever he wants.
He's the man.
I will advocate for Corso.
Yep.
Because I've asked him so many times what play I should run in NCAA football whenever I was younger.
And he tells you to run the option.
And you run the option.
Yep.
You don't take no for an answer.
But onward to the next topic. The American Athletic Conference is one of them Group of 5 conferences that have been on the rise here recently with programs like UCF, Cincinnati, Tulane, Houston, Memphis, and Navy. I was just wanting to ask you all, do you all think the American Athletic Conference is better than the ACC as an entire conference? Not like not like the top teams, but just as like from top to bottom. Do you think the American...
As a whole?
Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, it goes without saying that Clemson is like the best team in the nation.
Yeah.
But let's take Clemson out of the ACC, and what is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have any ranked teams.
And not only that, but give me a team from the ACC besides Clemson that plays consistently.
None. Boston College, like the third best team in the ACC, just lost to Kansas.
Exactly.
But
give me a team that normally plays consistently in the American Conference, and you can name a few off the top of your head.
That's like the fifth best team, Houston, in the American Athletic Conference, that just barely lost to Washington State.
Yeah.
They just lost to Tulane in their conference, and Tulane's a good football team. So, I mean, from top to bottom, it's a very weird subject, but I figured I'd bring it up because the American Athletic Conference, I think, should be a Power 6 conference.
You think?
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I think it's kind of idiotic to leave them out. To me, the ACC is not a power conference. You got one team. Everybody else is garbage. I think UCF plays a harder schedule than... Jake's smirking. So actually, I'm going to cut myself off here. Jake, what are you smirking about? He has no idea what we're talking about.
So pretty much what you're saying is that if you got these two teams together and they fist fought each other, these two conferences, who would win?
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Essentially, yes. Who would win Hell in the Cell?
I hate you.
That's what you all
Jake,
are saying.
who would win? Who would win the Hell in the Cell? I want to know.
I don't know.
The
The Navy
American-
guys.
The Navy is in the American Athletic
There we
Conference.
go. Those guys. They're going to win because only Clemson's there.
So weirdly enough, you actually reached the same point that me and Brian did with saying the AAC is better, just in different terms, more idiotic terms.
That's fine.
But different terms.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, they do have the greatest team in the nation.
Who?
Clemson.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about.
No, I'm talking about the other guys.
Okay.
That's the only. Those are the only guys. That's the only team they got.
Yeah.
I can't trust what you say, Jake. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yep.
I'll say something different here in a minute.
Yep. He always finds something new. But that's just me. I think the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, should be a New Year's 6 automatic conference. I think it should be a Power 6. I think it's a great conference on the uprise. UCF has been the great program the last couple of years, but Houston was pretty good just a couple of years ago. They beat Florida State in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. So,
Okay.
but onward to our next subject, and this one's pretty funny. This is going out to the NFL. I actually want to ask Jake this one first. Could a college football team beat the Miami Dolphins?
You want the short answer or the long answer?
Give me the long.
Okay, let's take into consideration some of the best teams in college football.
Mm-hmm.
You have Clemson, you have Alabama, you have Oklahoma, you got Texas, you have Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Georgia,
LSU.
Ohio, LSU. All the teams I just listed off, I give every one of them about an 80% chance to beat Miami Dolphins.
They're awful.
The Miami Dolphins is a pure train wreck right
They're
now.
not trying to win games.
No, the entire team wants off the team.
Actually, let me rephrase this. Do you think the Miami Dolphins are tanking right now? Let me ask that first. Do you think they're tanking, or do you think they're just this bad? Or do you think
No, they're tanking hard.
I agree.
I
they're
think
purposefully trying to.
Here's the thing. I think all the upper management is tanking,
Yes,
and
that's what I'm saying.
none of the players want to.
Yes. I agree.
All the players want out at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a single player on that team that wants to stay right now.
I wouldn't go get beat up to lose every game. I'm wondering, and it's just been 2 weeks, but they have lost games. They lost to the Ravens 59-10, and they lost to New England 43-0. And New England looked like they wouldn't even
Trying.
They looked like they were out there practicing.
Did you know you saw the play where the linebacker he intercepted the ball and then
Oh my
jogged
God.
it to the end
Yeah,
zone? He
yeah.
just jogged.
Did you see the wide receiver? What his reaction was whenever he didn't catch the ball? He didn't turn around and try to tackle
Yeah.
the linebacker. He just gave up on the play. He was so mad.
Yeah.
To me, the Dolphins, man, I don't know, they're terrible right now. I can't see them winning a game.
And the sad thing is, I couldn't see anybody in the NFL taking anyone on that team.
No. Well, the Steelers took Mia Fitzpatrick, but
Good job.
he's a good ball player. But as for the Dolphins, they got rid of Laramie Tunsil.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually cut their season short and they just suspended operations,
they
just like
can't.
the Cleveland Browns did it back in the '90s.
Different era. I can't see that happening. It would be funny. I hope something like that don't happen, just because I do find Cleveland.
I do like watching people fight in despair and lose.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Well, they're not even trying out there now.
No.
But now, Brian, do you think a college team could beat the Miami Dolphins? Do you think Alabama or Clemson could beat or at least give them a run for their money?
Yeah, I think they could.
Yeah. I think they're that bad.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the people that I've always said, NFL teams, the worst NFL team could always beat the best college football team. I've always been a sayer of that, and they'd kill them. Not this one.
Just because they're not trying.
No.
There's no urgency to them.
They're horrible. Like, their entire roster is garbage. You got Fitzception.
But apparently they benched him, and Josh Rosen is playing now.
Yeah, a quarterback who won 6 games in average in college. So you know how I feel about him. I don't like him that much.
Which, I mean, to be fair, though, John Elway and Dan Marino and a lot of other Hall of Fame quarterbacks had losing records coming out of college. So I don't really take that much.
True, yeah.
So
and I actually agree with you there, because I'm a big Daniel Jones guy.
yeah.
And by the way, they're starting him this week.
Yes, they are.
Yep.
It's the week of backup quarterbacks, and I'm kind of excited for it. I want to see. I know everybody else is like, oh, like all the star players are down. It's not worth watching anymore. I want to see what
I hate them kind of people.
I want to see what the backup does.
To me, them ain't real football fans. They're just people that just want to watch the big stars play.
Who's Daniel Jones and what team does he play for?
Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback now for the New York Giants.
Oh.
They benched Eli Manning.
Yep, they did. They finally benched him.
Took him long enough to live out those glory years, didn't it?
Yeah, that was idiotic.
They were just trying to relive.
They were trying to recreate the magic of the 2007 and 2011 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but things like that, they're not accidents. Like, there's a reason why the New York Giants teams won Super Bowl, and it wasn't solely Eli. Just like New England, it's not solely Brady. You got to have players. Like, the New York Giants, I've noticed their biggest problem. We talked about this whenever we were talking about the preseason, is their offensive line. It's a dumpster fire. But, yeah, I actually think a college team could beat the Miami Dolphins, too, going back to that subject. I think the Dolphins are an absolute nightmare right now. But not as big of a nightmare as Antonio Brown.
I'm so happy that Oakland Raiders is not what came out of your mouth.
Yep. No, because now this is actually a New England thing. So we came up with the subject just about 15 minutes ago, me and Brian and Jake, because this just happened. Antonio Brown cut from the New England Patriots. Brian, what do you think about this?
I'm not surprised it happened. I'm surprised that it happened so soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I mentioned it last week. I mean, what is going to be considered detrimental conduct
Yeah.
is going to be solely based on what New England.
Oh yeah, they don't
Patriots.
They don't owe him a cent now too. I didn't even think of that.
What the Patriots organization thought detrimental conduct was, and what he did was terrible. The reason why he got released.
Yeah.
I mean,
You can't harass and message the accuser. You can't
why?
do that.
Yeah.
That's a bad look. I don't know if you knew that part about it or not, Jake. Where
I did it, and I told both of y'all. I gave him a week.
Mm-hmm.
1 week later,
He made
he's
it a
gone.
week. I mean,
one week later, he's gone. He made it 1 week.
we should have made we talked about this too, but we ended up not going through with it. But we should have done this. We should have made like a betting pool and put $5 each in it.
Yeah.
Should have, because I would have
And,
won.
You would have won.
You would have won.
So just give me $10 and we'll call it Steven.
But as for this, I'm the New England fan here, and I know a lot of people that would probably expect me to go off on some kind of tangent or be mad about this. Couldn't be happier. We don't need him. He's a distraction. Great player, and he actually played really well against Miami, which who isn't nowadays. But he's a great player. But I'm glad that we cut that cancer from our team. He hadn't acted like a cancer at New England yet, but it was sure to come, probably. He's a distraction. I like our roster already. We got Josh Gordon. We got Edelman. We got a lot of pieces. James White. So
TJ Maxx.
yeah, he's kind of unnecessary to me. Yeah. Very interesting year for AB. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL.
Just because of so many like stupid decisions and just toxic behavior, and he's ruined his reputation.
I really don't think that he will find a place on any team anymore.
Here's what I was actually about to ask next.
Okay.
Do you think he'll be back this year, or do you think he's going to be taking a year off?
I think for his own benefit, I think he needs to take a year off because this guy needs help.
He does.
I really do think he needs help.
I don't think he deserves it.
Well, no, he does need help, and I'm with you.
And so I think because football doesn't matter anymore. I don't think.
No.
I mean, with him. Mm-mm. Because it's all of like the terrible things that he has done and has been accused of doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
documented proof.
Yes, I think. Yeah, I think just. Yeah, like I think football should be the last thing on anybody's mind when it comes to Antonio Brown.
I agree.
Because whatever he has to pay for, whatever like compensation he has to give.
Yep.
Yeah, and I hope that everyone involved in the crappy situation can move on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a bad situation all around, and I don't feel sorry for him because he put himself in this, and I don't think anybody should feel sorry for him.
Well, as for the rape allegations, that I'm not entirely sure on, but I will say this: his stint in Oakland was a disaster.
Yeah,
he acted like an ass. His stint in Pittsburgh was a train wreck, to say the least. That's probably the worst of it.
It's like a slow motion train wreck.
It is.
It lasted so long, and it was just so entertaining to watch.
It was funny for like a lot of it because it was almost like every time you turned to the ESPN, you got, especially whenever he was at the Raiders, it was comedy gold. And I don't know, there was just so many good memes that come out of that. But I agree. I do think that. Well, I don't know. I think some stupid team. I hope he goes to Buffalo. I hope Buffalo signs him. I think that would be perfect irony, and I actually think that would be the best punishment for him, is him going to Buffalo because he did not want to go there. What do you think, Jake? Do you think he'll be back this year, or do you think he'll be taking a year off? He's going to come back because he is one of the most talented in the league.
I think he'll be back this year.
You think that it'll be what team do you think will sign him? Maybe the Dolphins?
Golly. No.
Dolphins have a bunch of cap space.
Dolphins.
They're trading other players.
Yeah, that's true.
Dolphins won't sign him, I don't think. That or he'll refuse to go.
That's true. Yeah. I can see him doing that.
He might. You know what would be hilarious and where I could possibly see him going?
Where?
joining up with Larry Fitzgerald at the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at their cap space, which I do think that his market value has definitely gone down when it comes
It's
to
dwindled.
money.
Well, at first it was $30 million.
And then $10 million.
And now it's gone down to $10 million.
And now it'll probably be $5 million.
Maybe three.
Yeah. Like, you're going to sign him on the down
He's
low.
wasted so much
I
money.
actually wouldn't be surprised somebody.
He hasn't made a cent this year.
Yeah, he's wasted so much time and
He's
money.
lost endorsements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you actually get paid the league minimum.
Yeah. I can see that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because, Nike dropped his sponsorship.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Nike dropped his sponsorship this week, so he don't have
Which isn't surprising.
He don't have his helmet sponsorships anymore. He's in big trouble. I agree. I don't think that I think I'm with you. I think league minimum is what.
Yeah.
I don't even think $5 million. You're probably right, because if I'm an NFL team, he didn't work out in New England.
Yeah.
Everyone works out in New England. Like, everybody goes into New England knowing to shut up. Chad Johnson didn't have any problems in New England.
And he was the biggest diva of the mid-2000s.
Yeah, and he didn't act like a fool there. So,
one of my favorite wide receivers to watch, too. I thought he was pretty.
he was fun.
I thought he was fun.
But
Not very detail-oriented, but very good player.
But yeah.
But yeah, to me, when it comes to like Antonio Brown and everything else, football should be like the last thing on everybody's mind.
I agree.
With everything else that's happened and all the things that's circled around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he has hijacked the year.
Yeah, he kind of has.
And this is for me. This is why I like college football more, I guess. This has been hilarious. Don't get me wrong. I'm not above laughing at all this nonsense with AB. I'm not, one of the people that goes like, oh, I find no humor. No, this has been comedy gold. It's gave us content. I'm not going to lie. We've had something to talk about every week with AB. But college football to me is like the purest form of the game. It's people doing it for love. Whereas the NFL, you have idiots like AB who do it for the checks, for the fame, for the glory. And for me, I'm just not, like, as for like the purest of the game, I'm not really... I find that stuff just more funny.
You'd rather see him do it for the nookie.
So he can get that cookie. Exactly. Like college players.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Like, AB, he's wasted this year. He's wasted $40 million.
Yeah.
And that's only counting his base salaries that he would have made. If we're looking at contracts when it comes to... market whoever was marketing him, he's screwed that over. And you know what this actually probably all stems from? The Madden curse.
You think so?
Well, I mean,
makes sense.
he was on the cover of Madden 18. So
19.
Was it 19?
Yeah, Brady was on
yeah,
18.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And Brady never gets cursed.
But
yeah, all jokes aside.
Patrick Mahomes will be.
Patrick, he's not yet.
He's not yet.
It took
He's played
Antonio
really well.
Brown a full year.
No,
It didn't.
No, it took him immediately.
And you could argue that there were signs that trouble was brewing.
Yeah, already.
Before he was even on Madden.
Mm-hmm. It's like after the Madden cover came out, everything blew up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it reached its boiling point.
Mm-hmm. John Madden, why are you doing this to these players?
John Madden knows what he's doing. He chooses the least worthy players to be on the front of the Madden.
He chose Tom Brady. Which he knew Tom Brady would not fail.
Yeah, probably.
He knew.
Maybe John Madden knows best. I'll always concede to that.
I actually am rooting for Patrick Mahomes to
I'm
do well
not.
too. I mean, I'm a New England fan.
If he was
obviously, I want him to lose to us. But
I was about to say, if he was on any other team, I would root for him. But he's on the Kansas City.
That's true.
Chiefs.
You're a Raiders fan, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to root against.
And they did beat you 28-10.
God, yeah. Actually, I remember watching that game, and I sent Jake. It was 10-7 at one point. And I was like, "What's going on? Like, are the Raiders good?" And then, no, never mind. I was fooled.
I'm telling you, I think from what the team looks like, we look like first half heroes from what I said.
First half heroes. Yeah.
First half heroes. We destroy in the first half, and in the second half, we just plummet.
Didn't they give up 4 touchdowns in the second quarter?
Yeah, it was the second quarter.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it might be first quarter heroes.
Yeah, first quarter heroes.
Well,
first quarter queens. There we go.
But you guys did control the whole game at Denver, but
yeah,
that's true. And
the Raiders, I think, will be a good 6-10 football team.
I've told y'all both. I said 8-8.
I'm off on my prediction of 1-15. I don't think that's happening.
Eat it, son. because we play the Dolphins. We're immediately 2-15.
Okay,
2-14
yeah, y'all gonna
leagues.
win that one.
So you immediately lose. Now give me $10.
But
yeah.
yeah, like the whole AB thing. I wonder. I'm hesitant to say this is the end too.
I hope it is, because I really
this-
don't want to. I really don't want to talk about this guy anymore. I'm done.
Do you think this is the end?
I am.
I know it isn't.
No, I'm talking about. Do you think this is the end for this year?
No, I know it isn't.
So you do think that
There will be something else next weekend we're talking about.
I really don't want to. I'm done with this guy.
I showed you two a video, and it was a funny video of basically this guy. It was like a parody of AB's agent. And at the end of
you
it,
showed it to us.
AB, whenever AB signs with New England, the agent goes, "Well, I guess the drama's over now." Nope. Yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. But I actually don't have this on my list, but I just now remembered it off the top of my head, and I do want to discuss it for a little bit. I know me and Brian have different opinions on this. I don't understand where you're coming from, Brian, at all on this. I thought you sounded like you were just defending Carson Wentz. He's got to improve. He looked bad.
He looked bad in the first half.
You said the defense looked bad.
No,
That's exactly what you said.
I didn't.
The defense was the only thing keeping them in the game.
And I do admit, my
I've noticed you do this with players you like.
no, hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
Okay, I will.
Because in the context of me saying that, I hadn't seen the whole game yet.
Okay.
I had missed some parts of the game, and I didn't realize that when they scored that touchdown in the third quarter, I didn't know that was off a turnover.
Yeah.
So that's why I sent that.
Excuses.
That's just it's my reason for saying that, because I lamented about that. But as poorly as Carson Wentz played in the third quarter, I think he did play very well in the fourth to get him back in the game.
I agree. Like, he showed a lot of guts. I'll give him that. But I'm starting to wonder what his nutritionist is. I know concussions or whatever, but this is 3 years in a row we've had this issue now. And there's only I understand injuries. They're freak things that can happen. But there's also things that are trends too. And he got hurt in college and had to sit out the entire year. He got hurt at the Eagles. He got hurt last year. And if he gets hurt this year, that is a question that does need to be discussed.
The biggest problem is I already know the answer to that question. He puts himself in harm's way too much.
That's a flaw.
Yeah, he keeps throwing quit throwing yourself head first into safeties and linebackers.
I think a lot of that has to do, too, from the habit of whenever he was in college, he played at an FCS school, North Dakota State, which is, again, we've talked about, they don't belong in the FCS. They're wasting their time. They kill everybody. But he was playing against these kids that are way smaller.
Yeah.
And he was able to do them things and get away with it a lot of times. And I think in the NFL, it's caught up to him. Like, you cannot do them things. You will get hurt. And look, I'm rooting for him. I don't have anything against Carson Wentz. I actually really like him. I love North Dakota State football. I actually have a North Dakota State hoodie. But I do think that, one, he needs to learn. He needs to see a nutritionist, see what's going on there. Maybe he's not taking care of his body well enough or things like that. But also, maybe the training staff needs to be in question, because a lot of Eagles players got hurt that game.
They did.
Yeah, so maybe the training staff for the Eagles need to be
honestly
looked at.
I actually think, because injuries has been kind of a problem this whole year for every team.
It has been. I will agree. Drew Brees got hurt.
And I think a big problem is just the fact that, honestly, it's the way, because you know how lax and how mandatory practices have gotten for teams.
They have, yeah.
And I think, but when you come off and I'm not saying that they're not working hard or anything, because they obviously are, but when you're coming off practices where you can't really hit each other all that hard, and
your
then
body tissue is not used
and
to
then
that
you come
amount of
onto
violence.
and then you come onto a football field where you actually have to, your body can break down easier.
Yep.
You're not used to it, and you're not as ready for it.
They've turned them into a bunch of pansies, is what you're saying.
So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And in college, you don't see this happen as much. I mean, like Felipe Franks, you saw what happened there.
Yeah.
But that was a bad.
Yeah, that was
That
bad.
was a bad hit. That was. Ugh.
But yeah, I will defend Carson Wentz and think that I think he is a very talented player, but I think he does need he needs to take care of his body more when it comes to throwing himself into hits, throwing himself into harm's way.
Because he doesn't have the Andrew Luck excuse. Andrew Luck was in a nightmare situation. Carson Wentz is in a pretty good situation. Like they have a great
Which
GM.
now, to be fair though,
Their GM's a genius.
to be fair though, every single in that game, in the Atlanta game, every single time he dropped back to pass, he was getting hit.
Yeah.
To be fair though, like I don't know, like that's supposed to be the best offensive line in football right now. I don't know what they were doing that game, but that was a problem, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he pulled off some bull crap, and they were actually a drop away from winning the game. If Nelson Aguilar would have caught that big pass, they would have won the game.
I saw a meme that actually had him and it had bricks on his hands and him trying to catch the ball. He's done that twice, I think. He did it last year against the Saints.
Did he?
I get it because you bricked the pass.
Yep. What do you think about actually that's a good subject to talk about. What do you think about these injuries that are going on in the NFL? What do you think really that means for the league? Because Drew Brees is hurt, Big Ben is hurt.
Big Ben is in a retirement now. I don't care what anyone says. He's
He
too
is.
old.
I
He's
agree.
broken his what is it, his knee or his elbow?
Elbow.
His
Yeah.
his elbow's
It's
out.
actually throwing elbow, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And it wasn't on a hit.
And no, it was he threw it out.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yep.
And
whenever your bones are that brittle,
And if the Steelers have any sense about him, which
Yeah.
I doubt they have much,
well, I don't know. I mean, I think the Steelers.
they'll end up letting him go.
But not even letting him go, but just see Mason Rudolph as your future.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't know what they're going to do because the Steelers are they have the fault that the Giants have, and that's loyalty.
Right.
And that's one thing I do worry is they'll stick around with Big Ben way too long. They'll overstay the welcome. But yeah, these injuries. I don't know. I actually hadn't even thought about what Brian just said there. Is basically these practices where they are kind of less violent nowadays. That whenever they get out on the field, these hits, your body tissue is not really used to these kind of blows.
Yes, get injured in practice so that you won't get injured in the game.
Exactly. But really, I hadn't even thought of that.
When you don't prepare your body for like that beating, yeah, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I think it just turned them all into a bunch of pansies.
No. You're a tough man if you play in the NFL.
Yeah, you're pretty tough.
Nah.
You are.
Oh, yeah, Jake.
Nah, they're a bunch of pansies.
Yep, every one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and I think that is kind of a big issue that does need to be addressed eventually.
Yeah.
With it, and I'm not saying like make it full contact 2-a-day practices or anything like that.
But just have
full contact 3-a-days.
Like, did you hear the NFL got rid of the Oklahoma drill?
Really?
Yes. Like, no, college still does it, but in the NFL, the Oklahoma drill, you're not allowed to run it anymore.
Why?
Anybody that don't know what the Oklahoma drill is, it's basically just a drill where you have two linemen, a linebacker, and a running back, and you have two defensive linemen. And you basically see who can tackle somebody or whatever. It's a very violent drill, but it's short, too, so no one ever really gets hurt. But I find, what's your opinion on that?
Just, you need stuff like that.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. It makes you tougher.
It does.
Yeah.
So, God.
Yeah, they're afraid of concussions.
Which is completely reasonable to be afraid of those.
Yeah,
because for
the
CTE and everything. But
the Oklahoma drill.
But if you're trying,
you're doing it wrong if there's concussions, really.
Yes, and here's the thing: if you're getting rid of these drills, then why are you also improving on the helmets?
Yeah,
you're improving on the helmets.
Yeah,
and you have concussion protocols set in place.
Yep.
What's taking away the drill is going to accomplish?
My honest opinion about this is, like you're saying, that you have all these things that now improve the health and safety of players. I think a lot of this has to do with the NFL just PA wanting to look, pat themselves on the back.
Oh yeah,
they would ban Antonio Brown for life if that was the case.
That's true.
That is true.
That is true. God, yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get put on the commissioner's exempt list. But onward to our next subject. Actually, we want to discuss our upsets of the week. Brian and Jake, as usual, have the same upset because Jake, goes with the Brian's opinion. Jake never picks my opinion, which I think is funny. But
I'm stupid. Why are you?
I didn't mean to
actually,
copy.
hey, I'm the first person to get an upset picker right. By the way, I had Arizona State last week beating Michigan State. That game was 10-7.
Yep.
Yeah, Arizona State won against Michigan State 10-7. So, yay for me! I picked the first upset alert right.
I didn't copy Brian per se.
But I pray to God both of you all are right about your upset pick of the week.
I did too.
I pray to God because because I know my buddy Dakota is just going to give me hell if you all are wrong, and if I'm wrong, actually. But who's your upset pick of the week, Brian?
I think Notre Dame is going to beat Georgia.
Yep.
That's my pick.
Notre Dame.
Yeah. The quiz sounded pretentious there. Notre Dame. Yeah, it burned. That burned. that burned.
See how you split it.
I think they were actually able to salvage it, apparently. So, good.
Yeah, true.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Yeah, first of all, I actually did make this statement that I'm not sure what you thought of. I do think Ian Book is a better quarterback than Jake Fromm.
I agree.
I do.
I'm with you on that. I do think that Georgia's run game is a little bit better.
Yes.
But we'll discuss that here in a minute.
Right.
But so you both have the same upset pick. Brian and Jake both have Notre Dame over Georgia. My upset pick of the week is Stanford over Oregon. I have Stanford. They've played 2 bad games in a row. I think they're at home. So in Oregon, to me, it's one of them programs that they're frauds. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with Stanford this week. But before we get into our 5 games of the week, I want to discuss one game that's going on tonight. Who do y'all got between Utah versus USC? It's at Southern Cal. Who do you got, Brian?
Man, I tell you what, this will be like a co-upset of the week. I'll pick USC over Utah.
Who do you got, Jake?
The Mormons.
You got Mormons. I'm actually with Brian here.
This will be kind of like a co-upset of the week.
This
pick.
is a sneaky game.
I think it is. And
yeah.
here's the thing. I've always had this mentality when it comes to losing a game in football, is to take that anger and frustration and angst that you have and take it out on your opponent next week. And I'm hoping that that's what USC will do here.
And if you look at the talent level, too, USC, even though they're not higher ranked or the better team this year, they have more talent than Utah with their recruiting classes. And it's at USC, and fun fact, this is a stupid fact, and I'm sure no one else cares, but Utah has not won at Southern California since 1956, so I think that will continue.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with this game, but
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, Jake does, of course. But Jake's got the Mormons of Utah winning, and me and Brian are going to pick the
Mormons will use the power of their god Ron to take over.
Yeah. Is that their god?
I don't know.
Ron?
I don't know.
It's probably Tebow.
It's hard telling.
Yeah.
They're Mormons.
Would you stop making fun of Mormons? Whoa.
They're silly, Brian.
They're not people.
They're silly.
What is up with you guys?
They're just silly.
It's like the state of Florida.
Yeah. They're just silly.
Yeah.
Mormons, you be you. But I'm going to make fun of you.
Yeah. The 5 best games of the week. We'll start with this one. Michigan at Wisconsin. Brian, who do you have in this game?
Wisconsin.
You have Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay, well, what's your reason?
Michigan was way too happy winning that Army game. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. They were way too... They should have walked off that field with their heads hanging and wondering how well... If they're going to be that blind...
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. I am borderline giving up on Michigan this year.
Yep.
Because you are as desperate as you guys should be.
Yep.
Tyler's scheming.
Who do you got, Jake?
He didn't deny it. I've got Wisconsin.
I've got Wisconsin. So no, I'm with everybody here. Michigan doesn't have an offensive identity. One,
They don't.
they commit too many penalties. They have too many fumbles. They look undisciplined.
They do.
And like you said, Army is not a bad football team. Let me get that clear. Army's offense gives everybody trouble. But the fashion in which you won that game, you should be walking off the field ashamed.
Yeah, you did not deserve that victory.
No,
you were lucky to come out of there.
If it was a close game and Michigan looked like the better team, then
Sure.
it's a different story. Army looked like the better football team.
Yeah, they did.
They looked more disciplined. They looked more ready. I mean,
Michigan didn't even look like they wanted to be there.
No. And I'm telling you now, you pull that against Wisconsin, a power-running team with probably the best running back in college football, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
He's going to make you look stupid.
Yeah. I actually, if I can make this bold prediction.
And it's at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of me saying this? I'll say Jonathan Taylor run for 200 yards.
I think they'll kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jonathan Taylor put up 295 or something ridiculous.
And I have never, I gave him a shot last year, and this year he's not convinced me. I'm not.
Jim Harbaugh.
It's not even Jim Harbaugh. It's Shea Patterson. This guy, Shea Patterson, was supposed to come in and it would be the first, golden quarterback for Jim Harbaugh.
I'm questioning. He was a great player at Ole Miss.
Was he?
Yeah. So I'm really questioning. I'm not questioning him as much as the coaching staff at Michigan. What are they doing with him?
I
Because,
guess.
Did you see against Army they switched out quarterbacks?
Really?
Yeah, they put in McCaffrey for a bit, and I'm like, what are you doing? You cannot do this. No one can get in a rhythm. But Jake, what's your reasoning for Wisconsin winning?
Cheese.
Cheese? Yeah. Well, I mean, cheese is pretty delicious.
Melted cheese, especially. I might actually
Yeah,
go.
have you ever had cheese inside of a hamburger?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
inside the burger meat?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, so delicious.
Hey, I'm thinking about going back and getting some Mexican cheese after this. I mean,
That'd be a good idea.
yeah, might as well. Get some for football.
Get some for the USC Utah game.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, I thought Michigan was playing.
No, they play tomorrow. This
Oh,
is
okay.
5 games of the week, and this is like tomorrow's game.
Gotcha.
But you got Wisconsin.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Cheese.
we all got Wisconsin, actually.
Yep.
And our guest picker of the week, you'll see who he is. But, yeah. Who do y'all got between Auburn versus Texas A&M? Brian?
I'm going to pick Texas A&M over Auburn.
What's your reasoning?
My reasoning pretty much is the fact that, first off, I don't know if they're still doing that, but if they're still doing what they were doing 2 weeks ago against Oregon with that same offensive scheme, it's going to bite them in the ass eventually.
Yeah.
So there's that, and I do think that Texas A&M, they're a little more I trust them just a little bit more than Auburn right now because Auburn.
It's at A&M too.
And because Auburn, it feels like that they're still trying to get themselves settled down with this freshman quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Texas A&M, I get the feeling that they've already got kind of an identity to them.
They do. They have a returning quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I trust Texas A&M with this a little bit more than Auburn.
Well, who's your pick, Jake?
Auburn. They have a cooler logo.
They do have a cool logo.
They do.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go with. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with Auburn.
Okay.
And I actually agree with everything you just now said, Brian.
Do you?
But my reasoning for picking Auburn is,
Cooler logo.
of course, and the spirit of Tebow will guide Bo Nix.
Why would they? Why? Why would he guide them?
Shut up! I don't want to hear it. For the last 4 episodes, you have went on about how the spirit of Tebow will guide Syracuse, Georgia State, and everybody
The
else.
spirit of Brett Favre will guide.
That is right. Okay, but
Because we were just now got done talking about Wisconsin and cheese.
Mhm.
Brett Favre played in Wisconsin.
Well, no, that would have been Wisconsin then that he would guide.
Yeah, he's going to guide Wisconsin, but because
Okay.
we were just now talking about him, he's also going to hear our pleas and go to Auburn.
Sure, whatever. I'm going with Auburn, and my logic, my reasoning for this is actually it's. I don't know. I kind of want to pick A&M for the reasons you said, Brian, but I'm going to go with Auburn because I think they're going. I don't know. I think they'll just pull off some bull crap and win.
Like they did against Oregon?
Yeah, I think this is such an even matchup, and
Okay.
I don't know. I actually like Gus Malzahn, their coach. He's a little erratic sometimes. He does things that you probably shouldn't.
It feels like he's stubborn, actually.
He is.
It feels like it hasn't worked the last 10 times. I'm going to chuck it deep again because
Yeah.
it'll probably work this time.
Yeah, but it did work.
It did.
I don't know. He's a weird coach that a lot of people at Auburn want to be fired. I don't get that. He's a good coach. He took him to a national championship in 2013. So I don't know. Gus Malzahn. I guess that's my reasoning. I like Gus Malzahn, and I just want to see.
That's a pretty cool last name.
Yeah, it is. It actually is a cool last name. You don't hear Malzahn that often.
That sounds like some crazy
Sounds
like
like a mobster or
Greek
something.
warrior or something.
Greek warrior.
Greek.
I thought you said creek. How about to say, here we go again. Jake talking about the creek swamps or
I'm
something.
just like, thanks for saving me, Brian.
Oh, last time I tried to save you didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, about who would win the match, who would win the ring or whatever. But
Y'all never finished the question.
yeah, I answered it.
But Brian didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't want to.
I wouldn't dignify it.
Yeah, he wouldn't. But on to the next game. Oregon versus Stanford. This one's at Stanford. Who do you got, Brian? I already gave my reasoning. I've got Stanford, but who do you got, Brian?
I'm going to go with Oregon.
Yeah.
Just because, again, going with the safe route actually didn't help me last week. But yeah, it is like just the safer pick. And, Oregon is, at the end of the day, a good team.
They are.
And I do trust Oregon a little bit more than Stanford because I don't trust Stanford. I really don't.
I know you don't like trust them as much. I do because I love their coach. I love David Shaw.
I do too. But it's just like it just feels like nowadays for like the last 2 years, it's like they'll play like 1 week great.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they feel like Maryland to me.
No.
where-
Not in my opinion.
Really?
Because Maryland just lost to Temple.
Right? Yeah.
And I'll say that like Syracuse. Not Syracuse. Stanford. You know what the record was last year, don't you?
What?
A down year for Stanford usually is 9-4.
9-4.
Like Maryland, up year for them 7-5.
Okay, well,
So-
I guess what I meant was the fact that like 1 week they will just like play some of the best football you've ever seen, and the next week they just don't play well.
I think all that comes down to their talent level, though.
Okay,
Because they are a hard school to get into.
because I'm not as familiar with Stanford as I am with Maryland.
Yeah.
Stanford's technically an Ivy League school.
They
aren't
are basically,
Yeah.
They actually have the hardest admissions to pass through when it comes to FBS schools.
Yeah, if you're on the Stanford football team,
Yeah.
you've accomplished something in life.
Yeah, you're probably going to be a rocket scientist in the future.
I'm gonna go Jordan.
I can see we're going to win this. Who do you got, Jake?
Oregon.
What's your reasoning?
No, wait, Stanford.
Wait, what? You got Stanford?
Yeah,
All right, I want to hear this. Why do you have Stanford?
because you chose them.
Okay.
It's like I want to hear this.
I was so excited because I thought you were going to pick Oregon because they're sexy uniforms or something. That's usually like a trend with you, but
Well, Stanford's Ivy League, and I also want to promote their program so that they might let me in one day.
yeah, yep.
Because
Like me and Stanford.
anybody related to Stanford
listening
is
to
going to
us.
listen to this.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows like the head dean of Stanford, make sure that he gets my resume.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let Jake in. Let Jake pass. It's like War of the Rings. But
I shall not fail.
yeah. So that's your reasoning for picking Stanford. Got it.
Yeah. I want to
Okay.
go to school there.
Yep. Oklahoma State versus Texas. I want to give a little bit of a precursor to this. Oklahoma State against Texas the last 5 years, for anybody that don't know, has actually beat Texas 5 years in a row. So I know it's weird, but Brian, who do you got in this game?
I got Texas.
You got Texas?
Yeah.
It's at Texas.
Yeah.
So I want to establish that.
I do have Texas, and just because I picked them to win their conference.
Yeah.
But normally when I hear stuff like, oh, they beat them this many years in a row or something like that, my mindset is normally, oh, so the other teams do.
Yeah.
So Texas is due for a win. So yeah, I'll stick with them.
But I will say this different about the difference between college football and pro football. Them trends really exist in college football.
They do.
Like Ohio State against Michigan.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing. They can't beat them. So I do want to hear. I know who Jake's going to go with. Who do you got, Jake? He's got to pick them.
Texas.
Yeah, of course, because he's a Texas fan. You
I
have
like Texas.
yeah, you got to pick Bevo. What's your reasoning?
Because we sacrifice children to Bevo to make sure that we win this
Yeah,
game.
Yep, that's why. Yep,
Yeah.
Bevo's going to go in the stands and
Kali Ma. Bevo Ma.
Yep. But I'm actually going to go with Texas in this one. I think.
Thank you.
I think this will be a very good game. I think it'll be a shootout.
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday. I got Texas winning
Saturday.
45-42. I think it'll be a shootout. I think there'll be a lot of points. I do think Texas' secondary needs to clean up some things, but I think this will be a very good game. Very good Big 12 shootout. But I'm going to go with the Longhorns because of Sam Ellinger. I think he's a great player. But onward to our game of the week, the biggest game of the week. Brian and Jake have already gave their reasoning on why they think the Fighting Irish are going to beat Georgia.
I didn't.
What's your reasoning, Jake? Go ahead and say something goofy.
Nah, go ahead.
No. What's your reasoning?
Nah, go ahead.
Okay. My reasoning for this is because
It's because they're Irish and they fight really good.
that is true. Yeah, that's what the Irish do. But I'm going to pick Notre Dame over Georgia this week. Now, a lot of this it does come from I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I kind of got to. But I do think Notre Dame has a really good shot. This is going to be a tough environment. They go into Athens, Georgia. They're going to play a night game there. But I think this will be overall a great game and a great gauge to kind of see where Notre Dame program is, like, among the elites. But anything else y'all want to add to this game?
I got nothing.
You got nothing? What about you, Jake? You got anything to add to this game?
Not really.
Okay. Well, we're actually getting near the end of our episode here.
Okay.
We got there's one more thing I do want to say, and that's again, our logo that you all are seeing in the background was painted by Michael Elswick, a buddy of mine.
It would actually be in the foreground.
They know what I'm talking about. But he painted this great logo, and if you want any artwork done by him, go down to the description, click on the link, and you can email him. He does fantastic work, great guy, and he'll put 100% effort into it. Anything else y'all want to add before we sign off? Y'all good?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Mormon out.
See you guys.
Bye.
What's going on? I got my predictions for this weekend. It's going to be an exciting weekend of college football. Michigan versus Wisconsin. I think Michigan is on thin ice, and I think this week they're going to be exposed for their lack of offense as well as durability when it comes to some of these top teams. I think Auburn versus Texas A&M. I think Auburn has this game easily. Oregon at Stanford. I think Oregon is going to do really well this year despite their early loss. Oklahoma State at Texas. This is going to be a good game, but I think Texas has this in the bag. And for the big game this week, Notre Dame at Georgia. Man, this is easily going to be one of the biggest games of the year. And I'm going to have to say, without a hesitation, this is going to be Georgia Bulldogs all the way. This is going to be an absolute victory. Listen, Notre Dame is going to get embarrassed just like they do every time they walk down in the Southeast thinking they're going to win a football game. Listen, this is the SEC, baby. This is where we grind it out. This is where we embarrass these small little independent conference teams. So this is my predictions for this week. Hope y'all have a lot of fun watching some college football. Let's go.